Okay, let's unpack this. So picture this. You find a book published way back in 1936, and the title is still everywhere, instantly recognizable. How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, absolutely. It's more than just a title now, isn't it? It's like shorthand for a whole way of dealing with people.
It really is.
Yeah.
And for this deep dive, we're really digging into the updated edition of this, well, this classic.
Yeah, our main source is the book itself. We're looking at its, prefaces, the stories, the examples, the core ideas it lays out.
And our mission really is to pull out the absolute key takeaways for you, the kind of practical stuff you can maybe use right away without having to read all, 300 pages.
Exactly, extracting those nuggets. And you have to remember the context. Like you said, 1936, there wasn't really a self-help section back then.
Right, Carnegie kind of invented it. He had these adult education courses, and he genuinely believed you could teach people how to get along better, how to handle human relations.
Which the book argues is probably the biggest problem everyone faces, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're, I don't know, an architect, an engineer running a home.
Or a CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always the people part that trips us up.
Uh-huh. And he cites this data. I think it was from the Carnegie Foundation. No relation, apparently.
Yeah, confusing. But the data was wild. It suggested something like, even for technical jobs, 85% of financial success came down to human engineering.
Personality, leading people, that sort of thing. Only about 15% was pure technical skill.
That's a huge difference. It really makes you think.
It does. And the book really elevates these skills. It's not just nice to have. The source argues it's fundamental for, a richer, happier, more fulfilling life.
Totally. Makes you wonder what we miss out on if we don't focus on this stuff.
Yeah.
So where do we start? What's the first big idea?
Well, the book starts with something pretty foundational, maybe even rule number one. The futility of criticism.
Utility.
Yeah.
Strong word. So basically, complaining about people doesn't work.
Often, yeah. Or worse, it backfires. The book argues it almost always comes back to bite you.
How so?
Well, look at the examples it uses. Pretty stark ones, actually. Al Capone,
Uh-huh.
Tugun Crowley, Dutch Schultz. Guys facing, serious consequences for terrible crimes, and yet they justified themselves. They never saw themselves as being in the wrong.
Wow. Okay, so if guys on death row aren't blaming themselves, what chance do I have getting my teenager to admit they messed up by criticizing them?
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
And it mentions John Wanamaker, the department store guy. He apparently said it took him 30 years to figure out that scolding people was just foolish.
30 years. He realized he had enough trouble with his own faults.
Right. And look at politics. That huge fight between Theodore Roosevelt and President Taft, it split the Republican Party, changed history.
Uh-huh.
And Taft, even though it was a disaster, felt totally justified in what he did. That self-justification thing is powerful.
Abraham Lincoln, Honest Abe. He apparently used to tear into opponents in the newspapers early in his career.
Yeah, nearly got him into a duel. He learned, though, big time.
How did he change?
Well, think about the Civil War. People were obviously furious with the South, but Lincoln apparently said something like, "Don't criticize them. They are just what we would be under similar circumstances."
Wow. That's a lot of empathy.
Huge empathy. And remember, after Gettysburg, he wrote this scorching letter to General Meade for not chasing Lee's army.
Yeah.
But he never sent it. He figured, what good would it do? It wouldn't change the battle, just make Meade feel awful and resentful.
That takes incredible restraint. Okay. And the Bob Hoover story? The pilot.
Oh, that's a great one. So a mechanic puts the wrong fuel in his plane. Jet fuel in a propeller plane could have killed him.
Yeah, that's bad. Really bad.
But Hoover doesn't yell. He puts his arm around the guy, tells him he knows he didn't mean it, and then says he wants that same mechanic to prep his plane the next day.
No way. That's confidence.
Or trust.
Exactly. He turned potential criticism into this incredible moment of trust. So the book's idea is criticism is like homing pigeons.
Homing pigeon. Yeah, it always comes back home. The other person defends themselves, justifies their actions, and ends up condemning you for criticizing them.
So it just digs trenches.
Pretty much. And it mentions Evangeline Booth listening to a murderer confess. Just listening without judgment had this profound impact. It makes you think, right?
Yeah. If just listening works there, what about, with your partner or your boss?
Yeah.
It's tough, though. Really tough not to criticize sometimes.
It is tough. So if criticism doesn't really work, what does? The book shifts focus to a really deep human driver.
Okay, what's that?
William James called it the deepest principle in human nature, the craving to be appreciated.
The need to feel important. The book calls it a gnawing and unfaltering human hunger, right?
That's the phrase. It's not just about food or shelter. Animals work for that, but like a dog. A dog just gives love, wants to be near you, wants that appreciation.
Yeah, my dog definitely gets that. And Carnegie mentions his own dad, right? Probably showing off prize ribbons for their pigs or cows.
Uh-huh. That basic need for recognition, for your efforts to be seen.
And it's not just farmers. History's full of it. George Washington wanting to be called His Mightiness.
Columbus demanding titles, Mrs. Lincoln asserting her status. It's everywhere.
But how does that translate into, like, practical advice?
Well, look at Charles Schwab. Andrew Carnegie paid him $1 million a year, which was astronomical then.
Yeah.
Schwab said it wasn't because he knew the most about steel, others knew more. It was his ability to deal with people.
Okay, so what was his secret?
He called it his spirit of approval. He praised people, genuinely, publicly, privately. He looked for the good.
So Carnegie hired him for that.
Carnegie valued it immensely. His own epitaph, the one he wrote himself, was something like, "Here lies one who knew how to get around him, men who were cleverer than himself." He found talent and then fueled it with appreciation.
That's smart. Find people better than you and make them feel valued.
And John D. Rockefeller, another example, a partner lost $1 million on some South American venture. Instead of tearing into him, Rockefeller apparently praised him for managing to salvage 60% of the investment, focused on what went right.
That takes discipline. It's so easy to focus on the negative.
It is. And the book points out, look, most of the time, maybe 95% of the time, we're thinking about ourselves, right? Unless we're actively solving some external problem.
Guilty is charged.
So the trick is to consciously shift even a little bit of that focus. Spend some time thinking about the good points in other people.
Which leads to one of the core principles.
Principle 6, yeah. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. That sincerity is key.
Sincerity, right? Not just empty flattery.
Exactly. Look at the story of the lawyer, Mr. Arhan, and his elderly aunt. He wasn't trying to get anything from her. He just genuinely admired her old furniture, her treasures, listened to her stories.
And she felt seen, appreciated.
Totally. The book says she was starving for a little human warmth. And because his appreciation was real, she ended up giving him her prized Packard car.
Wow. Just from genuine interest.
It shows how deep that hunger goes. Even important people feel it. The nurseryman landscaping, the fancy lawyer's estate. The lawyer was eager to talk about the plants, the work.
He wanted someone to show interest in his world.
And George Eastman, Kodak founder, right? Super busy guy.
Yeah.
This businessman, Adamson, wanted to sell him some woodwork.
Tough sell, probably.
You'd think. But Adamson started just by genuinely admiring the woodwork already in Eastman's office. That sparked a real connection, a long chat, because he tapped into something Eastman cared about. Disraeli said it. Talk to a man about himself, and he will listen for hours.
So find what matters to them, show genuine interest, and appreciate it. Makes sense. Okay, so we've got avoid criticism, show genuine appreciation. What about when you actually need someone to, agree with you or cooperate? How do you win them over to your way of thinking?
Right, this is moving into persuasion, getting buy-in. And the first principle here is maybe deceptively simple. Begin in a friendly way.
The drop of honey catches more flies than a gallon of gall idea.
Exactly that. Woodrow Wilson's quote. Starting warm versus starting cold makes a huge difference in how people respond.
Any examples jump out?
Yeah, Robert F. Black, president of White Motor Company. There was a nasty strike going on. Instead of getting confrontational, he went out, was friendly, bought baseball bats and gloves for the strikers playing on a nearby lot.
Seriously? During a strike?
Yeah. And that friendly, humane approach totally changed the atmosphere. They settled peacefully. Contrast that with how those things usually go. Lincoln did it too with General Hooker. Warned him about being rash, but did it with encouragement, appealing to his ambition for glory.
So start friendly. What else?
Get the other person saying yes, yes immediately. This is based on Professor Overstreet's idea that once someone says no, their pride kind of locks them into that position. It's hard to backtrack.
Okay. So you want to build momentum in the yes direction.
Precisely. Frame things so they have to agree with the initial points. Like James Eberson at the bank. He wanted a guy to fill out more info for an account. Instead of just demanding it, he asked questions about what the customer would want for his wife and kids if something happened to him. Stuff the guy naturally said yes to.
Smart. Leads them down the path.
Or Joseph Ellison, the Westinghouse salesman. 13 years, he couldn't sell motors to this one chief engineer.
13 years. Wow.
Finally, he changed tactics. He just started asking questions the engineer had to agree with. Aren't your motors getting too hot? Yes. Wouldn't you like motors that meet these standards? Yes. Little yeses led to the big yes.
Building agreement bit by bit. Okay. What else?
This one's huge. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking.
Because people like to talk about themselves.
More than anything, the book says, look, someone's toothache means more to them than a famine killing millions elsewhere. We are wired to care most about our own stuff.
That's brutally honest, but probably true.
So if you want to connect or persuade, you often need to shut up and listen. Really listen.
Like Barbara Wilson with her daughter Lori, the story where she stopped giving orders.
Exactly. She just asked why and let Lori talk. Turned out Lori just needed someone to confide in, not more instructions. And that salesman trying to sell bread to the hotel chef?
Yeah.
He got nowhere pushing his product. He only made the sale after he shut up about bread and just listened to the chef talk about his job, his challenges. The insight was, people can't be sold. You have to let them buy.
Let them talk themselves into it almost.
Or at least feel heard and understood first. Which leads right into the next one. Let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers.
Ooh, that's clever. We trust our own ideas more.
Absolutely. Adolf Sells, the sales manager with the discouraged team, he didn't lecture them. He asked them what they expected from him and what he could expect from them. They came up with the plan themselves.
So they owned it.
Totally. Eugene Wesson selling sketches. He stopped trying to tell buyers what they needed and started asking for their input, making them feel like they were co-creating the solution. Big order followed.
And Teddy Roosevelt did this with political appointments.
Yep. He'd consult the party bosses, discuss the options, talk about who the public might accept, gently guiding them towards his preferred candidate, but making them feel involved in the choice.
Okay, that requires some finesse. What else?
Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. This takes real effort. The book suggests literally thinking, if I were you, I would undoubtedly feel just as you do.
Empathy again. Even like with the Al Capone example, understanding where they come from.
Not excusing, but understanding the perspective, their background, their experiences. It shapes how they see things.
Yeah.
If you can grasp that, you can approach them differently.
Dale Carnegie used this himself, didn't he, with that angry letter?
Yeah, someone wrote in furious about a geography mistake on his radio show. His first reaction was defensive. But then he thought, okay, let me try to see it from their side. He called them up, apologized profusely, said he'd be upset too.
And it worked.
Completely diffused the anger. The person ended up being quite friendly. Lincoln did something similar with an angry letter, waited, calmed down, then wrote a polite, sympathetic reply that fixed things.
So acknowledge their feelings first. Validate their perspective, even if you don't agree with the conclusion.
Exactly. Like Jay dealing with the hotel manager about fixing the escalator, he started by saying, look, I get it. Your hotel's busy. You need this done fast. Acknowledge the manager's priority before explaining why a proper fix now saves time later.
Frame your needs within their concerns. Got it.
And related to that, be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires.
Sympathetic. How's that different from seeing their point of view?
It's maybe more about acknowledging the underlying feeling or wish, even if the expression of it seems odd. The example of Saul Hurok managing the opera singer Chaliapin is kind of wild.
What happened?
Chaliapin would often claim he was sick right before a performance, probably just nerves or wanting attention. Hurok wouldn't argue. He'd be super sympathetic. Oh, my dear friend, you absolutely cannot sing. It would ruin your voice. We must cancel the show. The cost will be enormous, but your health comes first.
Seriously. He'd lay it on that thick.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And by validating the desire for sympathy, acknowledging the idea of being sick so strongly, Chaliapin would usually calm down and agree to perform after all. It was the only way that worked.
Wow. That's plain psychological chess. Okay, what else?
Appeal to the nobler motives. Assume people want to be seen as good, fair, honest, generous, and frame your request that way.
Give him a reputation to live up to, almost.
Kind of, like John D. Rockefeller Jr. telling photographers on his estate not to snap pictures of his kids. He didn't just order them off. He said something like, you know how it is, boys. You've got children yourselves. It's not good for youngsters to get too much publicity.
Yeah.
He appealed to their shared sense of decency as parents.
Connecting on a higher level.
Or Cyrus H.K. Curtis, starting his magazines. He couldn't afford big-name authors like Louisa May Alcott, so instead of offering money to her, he offered to donate a handsome sum to her favorite charity. Appealed to her altruism.
Clever. Makes them feel good about saying yes.
Then there's dramatize your ideas. Sometimes just stating the facts isn't enough. You need a little showmanship.
Like the reporter laying out 52 playing cards to show the number of unsolved murders.
Exactly. Or that rat poison display with actual live rat sales went up 5 times. W.P. Gaw getting the subcontractor on schedule by showing him this big, dramatic chart highlighting how his delay impacted the whole project, making it visual, making it stick.
Makes the information harder to ignore.
Definitely. And finally, if all else fails, the book says, throw down a challenge.
A challenge, like a competition.
Pretty much. That Charles Schwab story again. The steel mill was underperforming. He didn't yell or threaten. He just went to the day shift, asked how many tons of steel they'd poured, and wrote the number in chalk on the factory floor.
And just left it there.
Yep. The night shift came in, saw the number, asked what it meant. They were told it was the day shift's output. So they worked like crazy to beat it, rubbed out the number, and wrote their higher number.
Huh. So he turned it into a game.
Turned work into a game. And production soared. Sometimes that competitive spark is all you need. Okay, so those are principles for influencing and persuading. But then there's the leadership aspect. How do you guide or correct people without causing, loud... Begin with praise and honest appreciation.
The Novocaine analogy, numb the area before you drill.
Exactly. It makes the criticism, if it has to come, much less painful. Remember Schwab with the guys smoking under the no smoking sign?
Yeah, he gave them cigars first.
Right. He started with a generous gesture, then politely asked them to smoke outside. No confrontation, just appreciation followed by a gentle correction. Wanamaker did the same, helping the customer himself instead of chewing out the salespeople. Modeled the behavior.
Okay, start with praise. What's next?
Talk about your own mistakes first. This is a big one for humility.
Makes you seem less like you're judging from on high.
Totally. Carnegie tells a story about needing to correct his secretary, Josephine. He was about to launch in, then stopped and thought, wait, how good was I at her age? He realized he'd made way more mistakes.
So how did he approach her?
He started by saying something like, Josephine, you made a mistake, but honestly, it's no worse than many I've made myself. It completely changed the tone, made her receptive instead of defensive.
Acknowledging your own flaws first? Makes sense.
Then ask questions instead of giving direct orders.
Why does that work better?
It engages people. It makes them feel part of the solution. It stimulates their own creativity. Instead of saying, fix this, you might ask, how do you think we could approach this? Or what are your ideas on solving this?
Like Mr. Brandt getting his team to suggest repair ideas. Or W.P. Gaw touring the factory with the subcontractor, asking questions before bringing up the delay.
Exactly. It becomes collaborative problem solving, not just top-down instruction.
Okay. Now this next one feels really important. Let the other person save face.
Crucial. Absolutely crucial, and so often ignored. Humiliating someone, even unintentionally, creates deep resentment.
The story about GE and Steinmetz is amazing for this.
Right. Charles Steinmetz, electrical genius, but apparently a terrible manager. They couldn't fire him. He was too valuable, but they needed him out of that department head role.
So what did they do?
They gave him a fancy new title. Consulting engineer for the General Electric Company. Set him up with his own lab, basically let him keep doing his research, which is what he loved. He was moved sideways, but his dignity was completely intact. He felt honored, not demoted.
That's incredibly tactful. And the accountant, Granger, letting go of seasonal staff.
Same principle. He didn't just say, you're done. He took the time to praise their specific work during the busy season, express confidence in them, made them feel valued even as they were leaving, letting them exit with their head held high.
So important. Okay, what else for leaders?
Praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. This connects back to that appreciation idea, but it's about reinforcing progress.
Like training, almost.
Right.
Rewarding the positive steps.
Kind of, yeah. The book references B.F. Skinner positive reinforcement works. Ignoring bad behavior lets it atrophy. Praising good behavior makes it grow.
The story about H.G. Wells as a young, struggling writer.
Yeah. He was apparently ready to give up, felt like a total failure. Then he got this one letter, simple encouragement, praising his effort, showing belief, and it was enough. It kept him going. Jessler's quote. Praise is like sunlight to the warm human spirit. We need it to grow.
But it has to be sincere, right? Like Keith Roper in The Printer.
Absolutely. He didn't just say, nice job on the printing. He pointed out a specific aspect that was exceptionally well done. That specificity makes it genuine. People crave real recognition, not just, fake flattery.
Right. Okay, building on that, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to.
Yeah, this is powerful. Act as though the trait you want them to have is something they already excel at.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sort of. William James talked about helping people realize their hidden treasures. This is one way to do it. The teacher, Mrs. Hopkins, and terrible Tommy.
Oh yeah, the problem kid.
Instead of labeling him a troublemaker, she told him she saw him as a natural leader, and she was counting on him. She gave him that reputation.
And he changed completely.
Became her star pupil, helped keep order. He lived up to the expectation. The exchange buffet restaurant that ran on an honor system, they trusted people to be honest, and mostly they were.
So you set the bar high by assuming the best.
Exactly. Henry Henke wanted his mechanic, Bill, to be faster. He started complimenting him within earshot on how quick and thorough he was. Bill started working harder to match the praise. Dr. Fitzhugh, the dentist, left a note for his cleaner, praising his work and mentioning the tricky cup holders. The cleaner made them shine like mirrors next time.
Give him something to aspire to by acting like they're already there. Cool.
Then, use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct.
Don't make mountains out of molehills.
Pretty much. Don't overwhelm someone with criticism. Focus on the potential for improvement. Like the dance teacher telling Carnegie his basic rhythm was great. He just needed to learn a few more steps. Made it seem manageable, not impossible.
Compared to a teacher just listing all your mistakes.
Right. Or Ely Culbertson, the bridge player. His wife, or future wife, told him he had a flair for the game when he was apparently quite bad and stubborn about it. That little bit of encouragement, framing it as achievable talent, might have been key to him sticking with it.
Make it seem like the gap isn't that big.
Yeah. And finally, this requires real skill. Make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest.
Happy about doing what you want.
How? Frame it in terms of their benefit, their desires, their satisfaction. Colonel House telling William Jennings Bryan he wasn't being sent as a peace envoy.
How did he make him happy about that?
He implied the job wasn't important enough for someone of Bryan's stature. Made him feel too significant for the role rather than rejected. Woodrow Wilson getting McAdoo to be Treasury Secretary by framing it as a huge favor McAdoo would be doing him.
Appeal to their ego or sense of importance.
Or their satisfaction. The publishing house Doubleday Page was famous for rejecting manuscripts so nicely, praising the effort that authors felt good about it. Dale Ferrier getting his son Jeff to do a chore by focusing on how fun the activity could be. Or the skill involved, not just the duty, making the task itself seem appealing.
Finding the angle that makes them want to do it, that's subtle. So those are the core principles. Amazing how practical they still feel. And it helps know a bit about Dale Carnegie himself, right? The book touches on his background.
Yeah, it really grounds the advice. He wasn't born into privilege. Farm background, really struggled as a salesman. Early on, the book mentions him weeping in cheap hotel rooms, even working passage on a train by feeding horses. He knew failure.
So he wasn't just preaching from an ivory tower. He lived this stuff.
Right. And he was largely self-educated. His courses grew out of a real need. He saw blending public speaking, sales techniques, psychology, and just basic human relations. People were hungry for practical guidance.
And it wasn't just, entry-level folks taking his courses.
No, the book mentions the audience was often from the upper economic strata, executives, professionals, business owners. These challenges are universal. Success at any level involves dealing with people effectively.
And the book itself came about because people in his courses basically said, we need this written down. There's no textbook for this.
Exactly. He wrote it for them, refined it constantly based on what worked in real life. So yeah, that's the deep dive. We've pulled out these key principles, illustrated with the book's own stories, which really bring them to life.
And they really do hold up, don't they? These aren't just quaint ideas from the 1930s. They feel like fundamental truths about how people operate.
Uh-huh. That desire to feel important, the resistance to criticism, the need for genuine appreciation and understanding, that's just human nature. These are tools to work with that nature, not against it.
So, for you listening, think about maybe just one of these. What if tomorrow you consciously decide to really listen when someone's talking, without planning your reply?
Or maybe look for one specific, sincere thing to praise someone for. Or bite your tongue before criticizing and try asking a question instead. Or maybe even admit you made a mistake first.
Small shifts, right. But the book argues they can have a big impact. It's about shifting your focus, just a little, from yourself to the other person.
The source quotes William James again towards the end, saying that compared to what we ought to be, most of us are only half awake. We live far within his limits.
Half awake. Wow.
And it also says something like, everyone has at least one quality that can be respected and admired, and that we can help people find their hidden treasures.
Okay, so here's a thought to leave you with. If we're all only half awake, living within limits, and everyone has these hidden treasures, how much potential, both in ourselves and in the people we interact with every single day, are we just missing?
Yeah. How much good stuff are we failing to see? Maybe just because we haven't really made the effort to look for it, to acknowledge it.
Maybe unlocking potential in others starts with just trying to see that hidden treasure they possess.
And the book's final message isn't just to know this stuff, it's to do it, apply it, make a lively game out of practicing these principles every day.
Worth a try, right?
Yeah.
Give it a shot.